Hi, I'm Hugh Malkin from CambTEK, and I want to give you an introduction into the rapid extraction system, or the RES for short. RES is a sample in to liquid out, fully automated system for sample preparation, both for content uniformity and assay. So I'm going to give you an overview of the system. I've also done a video about how to use the system, i.e. the software and the compliance side, which you can watch separately, so that'll give you an idea on how all that works. But today I just want to sort of concentrate on the physical side of the machine, how you use it, just to load samples, how the system runs those samples, etc., and how easy it is really. So one key thing to remember about this system, it looks after the user. What do I mean by that is it really minimises the mistakes the user can make. So it gives you much better compliance over your quality of how things are achieved. And because it's automation, it's very consistent. And the other really good thing about it is it logs and tracks absolutely everything. So you have really good compliance. It's a consumable-based workflow, and the consumables come in a pack like this. And that makes it very easy to use with minimal training, and it's also a really good tool for walk-up users. Methods have been developed. A walk-up user comes on, puts their sample on with the consumables, press play, and then they go again, come back and pick their sample up. That sample is then put on for analysis. Okay, so this is key. This is really key, and this is what makes the system very, very easy to use. And this is also what protects the user from making mistakes. So in addition to the consumables, we have a carrier, which is called a puck for the consumables. I'm just going to go ahead and load one of those up. So just simply tear the pouch open. There's a large vial, and this is the collection vial and the dilution vial. And you will notice that it's capped. It's got a septor capped. There's flow cell. I'll pop that in. We have a filter, and also we have a HPLC file. Again, notice it's pre-capped. Right, so I'm just going to explain a little bit about this and why this is so important. You might have noticed that all of these have a barcode on them. Okay, so that is a family of consumables, and that is a unique identifying barcode in that there are no other consumable packs that have the same barcode as this family. So that's where you get your traceability and your compliance from these unique barcodes. The barcodes also help to look after you as a user. So the barcode on the flow cell knows that it's a flow cell. The barcode on a filter knows that it's a filter. The barcode on the large vial knows that it's the large vial. And the barcode on the small vial knows it's the small vial. And that really helps the system look after you. Okay, for example, this is a filter, which is code 24. You probably won't see that, but that's code 24. And there are 10 different filter types. But if I call up a method that requires code 24 filter, it will only allow me to run methods with code 24 filter, and the machine will know if I've got the wrong filter on there, and it won't go any further. We'll just go to the next sample. The machine will also know, and this isn't barcode related, but the machine will also know if I don't have this large file here. The machine will also know if my filter has been put in the wrong way round, and again, it will skip that sample. The machine will know if there's no filter present, and as I said, it will know if the wrong filter is not there for that method. In fact, if you have the methods are pre-stored on the system, if I scan this filter or any of these consumables, it will only call up methods that are related to code 24. So I might have 100 methods stored on the system. I can have many more, but I might have, say, 100. And only 3 of those methods are related to code 24. It will only display the 3 that I need. Okay, so it's really looks after you. It will know if my flow cell is not there. It will know if my flow cell has been put in incorrectly. Okay, so very important. So if you can open a pack, and if you can put the consumables in the right order, if you don't, the machine will look after you. But if you can do that, load your sample into the flow cell, scan a barcode, load it onto the system, you can do sample preparation for content uniformity and assay. As simple as that. The machine really does take care of everything. Just going to explain a little bit about the flow cell. We've got 2 types of flow cell. There's a conical one, or there's this one which is more like a cylinder. And that's where the extraction takes place. So you've got captive extraction in a reasonably small space. So you get good reproducibility versus a large vessel where you're trying to extract. So the extraction takes place in there. It is a proprietary design, and it has features, probably can't see them on the camera, but it has specific features down in this section here, which aids rapid extraction. Okay, so flow cell sits on there. Just take my sample now. Okay, so I'm now going to scan this. Right, but let's try something. I'm just going to show you something. Take my handheld barcode scanner, and I can scan any of these, it doesn't matter which one. However, I'm going to try and scan. Okay, nothing's happening. Okay, is that good or bad? In this case, it's actually good. The reason nothing is happening is because I'm not logged in to the system. I'm not allowed to do anything on the system unless I take custody of the system, and I take custody of the system by logging in. There's various login privileges depending on who I am and what that will give me and what that will enable me to do. So I'm just going to log in, then I'm going to scan that again. Okay, so I'm now logged in. The system knows who I am, and now it will allow me to do actions. So I'm now going to scan this. Okay, so that sample's now been scanned. Just going to now go over to the carousel. The carousel is a 30-place carousel, so we can have up to 30 samples on there. What's really good is I don't have to worry about where I place this on the carousel. It's not like where you have to take your HPLC vial and put it in the right place on an auto sampler ready for injection. The system doesn't care about where I put it on there. The system is going to look for the barcodes that are on the consumables. So, and it's obviously those barcodes are related to the sample that I've loaded onto the software. Haven't done that yet, but that's what it would look for. So it doesn't matter. I can just freely place it on there. So I'm just going to place it. This position 4 could have been any position. When I go to the software, select the method that I want to use and press play, it will do a scan of the carousel. When it finds my sample, it will then process it. If I hadn't put the sample on the carousel, I wanted to do it maybe later, I want to put it on just before I go home, then I can do that. I can go and put them on last thing and then press play, and it will find them. In fact, the system will find them a year or 2 later if it hasn't run them. It always will search for that sample, provided it stays on the work list within the system. You can take it off the work list before it's processed if you want to, but say it was on the work list, it will find that sample. When it finds that sample, it will process that sample. Okay, so just going to pop it on there. Pop the door down, and if I then go to the software, press start, it will process that sample for me. I can come back when it's finished, and let me just grab one of these. This is one that's already been processed, and I've got my sample both in the original file. This would have had some dilution step, and also the dilute sample will be in the HPLC file. Okay. But it doesn't matter where I put those samples, it will find them. Okay. I'm going to go into a bit more detail in what's inside the system. As I said, the software is covered in a separate video, but I'm just now going to do about what's the components within inside the system. Right, so the system is ready to run. I've placed my sample that I scanned on here. I'm logged in, so it knows it's me. Machine knows that custody, knows my user privileges, etc. And it will. I'm going to press play, and then it will rotate the carousel. It'll read the barcodes, and it will find my sample, and then run my sample. So the area that you're looking at is in here. This is where the extraction takes place. And also this is where the extraction fluid is that recirculates around the system. Right, so I've pressed play. It will automatically go to position 1, and it will start scanning the carousel to find my sample. As I said, it doesn't matter where the sample is placed on there, it will find it and then it will run it. Okay, the system has found my sample, and now it's going to process that. So it's checked the filter type is correct for this method, and it's checked the flow cell is correct for this method. So it's clamped the flow cell in the flow path. It's now checking that the large primary vial is present. Okay. It's taken a weight of the recirculating vessel to make sure that it's okay, and now it's going to fill that vessel, and then it's going to take another weight of that. Okay, so it's now weighing the extraction fluid, and it will do a top-up now to make sure that it gets as close to the amount requested in the method as possible. Okay, so it's done that, and now it's starting to prime the extraction fluid into the flow cell, which is here. Hopefully you can see that. The accuracy of that fill, it records that, and that is 99.93% accuracy. It's now doing the sample, it's crushing the sample, and it's extracting the sample at the same time. So visually looking at that sample was probably 95% extracted. The method runs us for a little bit longer than that, but it's now the probe has come up, the head has come up. It's just part of the method sequence. As you can see, it looks like it's extracted. There's a tiny bit there, but the method isn't finished yet. The peristaltic pump is now going in the reverse. You can go forward or backwards with the peristaltic pump. You can have several positions of the head, the crushing head. You can have several different speeds of the peristaltic pump, and you can have clockwise and anti-clockwise of the crushing head, and you can have different speeds of rotation. Okay, so that sample's more or less done now. It will run for the allotted time in the method. It will then fill the sample loop here, which will then go through the filter. The filtrate is collected into the large vial, the primary vial, and either then you can dilute that there, or if you don't need to dilute it, you don't have to. And if you request, you can either transfer to the HPLC vial, or you can shoot from a transfer line into an HPLC system. Okay, so that's the extraction done. It will now do, as I said, the filtration, the dilution, etc. It's doing a quick check here to make sure that it hasn't lost any fluid, and that's a safety check for the system. Right, okay, so I'm going to turn the camera off now. It's just going to go through the rest of the sequence, which you can't really see much, but I'll show you the output at the end. Right, so I've been away. I've been doing something more value add than manually preparing my samples. The system has done the sample for me. It's tracked everything that it's done with that sample. So I have a sample report with the sample, which will give me all of the accuracy and the measurements that it's made, who I am, time and date stamp, the encryption on the sample report to show that it's genuine, that it's authentic, and lots of other data, important data that is part of the precision of the system, the quality and the custody, the compliance. Right, so my sample's been run, as I've said. I've been away from the system while it's doing that, so it's logged me off. For me to do anything now, I have to just log in to say I'm back and I want to do something. So. Right, so I'm logged in now. I can get back on the system. I'm taking custody of the actions that are now happening on there. Everything that is done on here is recorded in the log, so it knows that I've done that, and time and date stamp and who I am. I'm just going to bring my sample around so I can take it out. Okay. So that's my processed sample. The lozenge was in the flow cell, as you know. I now have my collected and diluted sample. There's quite a small volume because actually in part of my method I had that transferred to the HPLC vial. You'll notice that these are capped, as I mentioned earlier. They're septa capped. Can get different septa caps for the HPLC vials if you're using UPLC, etc. But that's important, so there's no evaporational loss here. All capped, so that's good. Sample diluted in there, transferred to there. I'm done, so that's neatly done. In addition to the sample report, so the sample report will tell me the accuracy at which the system filled the recirculating vessel. So I asked for 50 millilitres, it will tell me exactly how many millilitres it obtained. And it will get very close to that. It will be like 99.98%, and then it will give the actual volumes, etc. Same is true for the amount of filtrate collected and the dilution into the vial, all captured, all weights and measures, all accuracies, and the nominal value that you can take from your HPLC data to do the calculation to make sure that your concentration is correct with your content uniformity. So that's great, you've got all the reports, system's done it for me, I've not been here, I've been doing something more important. System's clean, it's all ready to go for the next sample, it does that in between samples. In addition to that, on this model there's a camera inside here, and that camera will have recorded the extraction process inside the flow cell. So if there was an out-of-spec investigation and we suspected, or we wanted to find out where that out-of-spec occurred, so we can go to the sample report on here and we can check that all of the accuracy was right, that the correct method was used, that the sample was extracted. And we can look at that on the video to say, yeah, that was extracted, so I don't suspect any issues with the sample preparation process. My issue is either side of that, but I'm okay, I trust my sample preparation. And that's really valuable to be able to instantly identify if you've had a problem with your sample preparation, which is very hard with other manual techniques. But on here you can quickly say, yeah, no, this worked fine. My problem must be elsewhere. Also, you've got a log of everything that's happening. So, all very good. I hope I've shown how simple it is to use, how the system looks after the user, and also sort of take-home messages that it logs everything. So, it knows who you are, what it's doing, and obviously that's perfect for compliance as well. So very powerful tool to have in your laboratory for all sorts of reasons: productivity, compliance, consistency of running your extractions. Doesn't matter who's using the system, where the system is, whether it's in one lab, one part of the world, or another lab over the other part of the world, it will give consistent results. So and obviously if you had systems in labs around the place, then you could transfer methods and you can have that reproducibility across sites, which is also very important. Anyway, that's the end of this, and hopefully that was helpful. Watch the software video as well, because that shows you an awful lot about the compliance and usability of the software, how easy it is to use, how the software and the consumables and unit look after the user so you can't make mistakes. But again, that's a very important part of this whole product offering. Okay, thank you.